So there's already a video that explains some of these questions. I want to explain the ones that aren't explained on the other video. So this is technically a second video on this worksheet, 4.2 WSPM. So let's all take a look at number 3. They want us to write an equation of that line. And remember, you need two things to write an equation, the m and the b. If you know those two things, it's really easy to write something in y equals mx plus b form. So when I look at this line, am I able to count the rise over the run? Yes, all you got to do is find two nice points. But you don't even need to do that because they tell you that the m is 2. Okay, but let's say they didn't tell you that the m was 2. They give you a point right here, and they give you another, or you could find another point right there, and you would be rising 1, 2, and you'd be running 1. So that's why the slope is 2. Anyway, the b value, bless you, b value is where it crosses the y-axis, and obviously it crosses right here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's at the y value of 4. So the b is 4. And let's write our equation. Y equals 2x plus 4. Let's move on. Yes? You could put 2 over 1 instead of just 2. Because after all, when you graph, it is rise over run. So you could put 2 over 1. That's great. However, on a multiple choice final, they're not going to write it as y equals 2 over 1x plus 4. They're just going to write y equals 2x plus 4. M was positive 2. And they give you right there m equals positive 2. Okay, so let's go to one that requires more work, like number 5 right here. On number 5, they give us an x value, a y value, and an m value. And what we're going to do is plug it all into y equals mx plus b. Maybe before even explaining this, the two things that you need are m and b. And they give us an m value, but we need to find the b value. So we know that m is negative 2. And again, since they give us an x, a y, and an m, we're going to plug in everything to find the b. So instead of y, I'm going to write 2 because y is 2. Then I have the equal sign. And then instead of m, I'm going to write negative 2 because they give us the m value of negative 2. Now, and then parentheses to multiply by x, good. And the x value is what? The x value is 4, and we do have a plus b at the very end. So doing the math here, negative 2 times 4, that's negative 8. We still have the plus b, we still have the equal and the 2 over here. And of course, you want to solve for b. b is on the right side of the equal sign. It's over here. You want b by itself on the right side of this equal sign. You don't want this minus 8. So you're going to do the opposite, which would be plus 8. And what you do to one side, you do to the other side. So you will end up with 10 equals b, b equals 10. Now that you know your m value and your b value, you can easily write your y equals mx plus b equation. Y equals m, which happens to be negative 2, x plus b, but b is a positive 10. So this is our slope-intercept form equation. If you were to graph this line, it will pass through that point for 2. Let's jump to a different one. Number 6. Once again, they give us an x value, a y value, and an m value, and we're going to plug it all into what? Y equals mx plus b. Instead of y, what do I plug in? Negative 2. The equal sign's there. Instead of m, what do I plug in? 3. And then I put the times x. And what is x? X is 2. And of course, the plus b is still there. And we're simply going to do the math here. 3 times 2 is 6. And we have the plus b. We have the equal sign. We have the negative 2. b is on the right side of this equal sign. We need to get it by itself. We don't want this plus 6. Minus 6 to get rid of the plus 6. That's right. That'll cancel out. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. You will get negative 8 equals b. So now that we know our m value, which is 3, that was given to us, and now that we know our b value, we just found out it was negative 8, Now we could write our equation in y equals mx plus b form. So it's y equals m, which is 3, x is x, plus b, which is plus -8, or you could just write minus 8. And that's your answer for number 6. So the first thing to do on number 7 is to take what they give you and plug it all into y equals mx plus b. What is it that they gave you here? They gave you an x value, a y value, and an m value. So let's plug it all into y equals mx plus b. Now our x value is 3, so that goes right here. Our y value is 0, that goes right there. And our m value is 5, that's going to go right there. So let's write it out. We're going to have 0 equals 5 times, what is x? 3 plus b. 5 times 3 is 15 plus b equals 0. So you want b by itself on the right side. You don't want that plus 15. So you're going to subtract 15 on both sides. So yes, negative 15 equals b. b equals negative 15. You need two things to write an equation. If you know that your slope is 5 and that your b is negative 15, now you're able to write your slope-intercept form equation y equals mx plus b. You could put plus negative 15, but any multiple choice test is going to have it written as minus 15 instead of plus negative 15. Let's try another. Jump into number 9. What do they give us? They give us an x value of negative 5, a y value of 4, and an m value of negative 4. Let's plug it all into y equals mx plus b. So our m value, negative 4, goes right in here. Our x value, negative 5, goes right in there. Our y value of 4 goes right there. So I do have 4 equals m, which happens to be negative 4, times x, which happens to be negative 5 when I plug it in, and then the plus b is out here at the end. It really becomes a simple two-step equation. Negative 4 times negative 5, that is positive 20. There's a plus b right there, equals 4. B is on the right side. There's a plus 20 right there. You don't want that plus 20. You do the opposite of plus 20, which is subtract 20. Subtract 20. So if you did have $4 and owe somebody 20, you're still going to owe them 16. So negative 16 is b. b is negative 16. The m value they gave you from the start, that was negative 4. The slope is negative 4. So now that you know the m and the b, you could write your slope-intercept form equation y equals negative 4x plus b, which in this case is minus 16. Again, you could put plus negative 16. But if you look at the back of the page on the answers, it says negative 4x minus 16, not plus negative 16. Let's jump to a more entertaining problem. Actually, these aren't even entertaining. They're ridiculously easy. Because like 11, what are the two things that you need to write an equation?
M and B.
M and B, that's right. Now, right here, I guess they want you to think that you have a point here and a point there, and they want you to do the slope formula and stuff. But why not just count rise over run to get the slope, right? So from here to here, you go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. So if you did, oh, wait a minute, I put the colors backwards. I usually put the M in blue and the B in red. Okay, so anyways, from here to here, you rise 4, you run 2. And if you rise 4, run 2, that's really equal to 2. Or you could have done this also, rise 1, 2, and over 1. Then you'd get that value of 2. What's the B value?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. It crosses the y-axis at negative 1. So now that you know the m, now you know the b, you have y equals mx plus b. What's that going to be?
Y equals 2x minus 1.
Y equals 2x minus 1. Thank you, Allison. So don't say your name. You're not Allison. Sorry. That's just weird. No. Now it's really weird because this is actually recording. Okay. Okay. So we have y equals 2x minus 1. That's your answer. So 11's easy. How about 12? What's the answer to number 12? What's the equation? Y equals what?
Down 2.
Down how many?
Down 2, run 1.
So you're saying you're going down 1, 2 over 1. Yeah? Okay. So down 2, negative 2 over 1. You could put it over 1, but you don't have to. You could just leave it negative 2. And how about the b value?
3.
B value is 3, so plus 3. So on a multiple choice test, they're not even going to put over 1. They're just going to leave it as negative 2x plus 3. How about, these are the most fun ones right here. Number 14. Because right here you have to actually walk through all the different skills that you've learned in the past. Skill 1, you have to have the slope formula memorized. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And of course, you have your x's and your y's up here.
Negative 5 minus 3.
And before even applying the formula, please start by doing the division and the subtractions. And yes, y2 is negative 1, y1 is 4, x2 is 6, x1 is 1. And when you do the math, you're going to end up with negative 5 up on top over what on the bottom? 5 on the bottom, which means that your m value is negative 1. Thank you. So we know that our m is equal to negative 1. That's half of what we need. We also need the b value. And in order to find the b value, we're going to take what we have so far and put it all into the equation y equals mx plus b. So let me write it out. Y equals mx plus b. So I need an m value. We already found that. That was negative 1. Let me put that right here. So that's a negative 1 right there. I need to multiply it by x. And I also need a y value. But wait a minute. Where am I going to get my x and y values from? From the coordinates. So I'm going to put my plus b. And let me plug in my x and y. Which coordinate do we want to use? The first one or the second one? I'd go with the first one. You could use the second if you want. So if you plug in 4 for y, see how y is right here? I'm going to put a 4 right there. And the x value is 1, so I'm going to put a 1 right there. And now I'm just going to do the math. Negative 1 times positive 1, that's negative 1 plus b equals 4. Now you don't want a negative 1 plus b, you just want the b all by itself on the right side. So let's get rid of that minus 1 by going plus 1 and plus 1. So that cancels, and b equals 5. So if b equals 5 and m equals negative 1, I can now write my equation in slope-intercept form. So I have y equals mx negative 1x, I'll put the x in
Plus
black
5.
actually, plus 5, plus b when the b happens to be 5. Now on a multiple choice test, you probably won't even see the negative 1, you just see negative x. So y equals negative x plus 5. And that's it. So the final question on this video that I'm making is number 15. And you're going to begin, you want to write the equation of the line that passes through these 2 points. You're going to begin by finding the slope using the slope formula. And when you use the slope formula, do the division on the subtractions first. Of course, we're going to label the coordinates x, y, x, y. This is your first point, put a 1 next to them. This is your second point, put a 2 next to them. And let's plug in our y2 value, which happens to be 5, our y1 value, which happens to be negative 1, our x2 value, which happens to be 3, our x1 value, which happens to be 1. And whenever you have a minus minus, you change it to plus plus. So up on top, 5 plus 1 is 6. On the bottom, 3 take away 1 is 2. And at the very end, 6 divided by 2 is 3. Ladies and gentlemen, we just found our m value of 3. We need our b value now, because of course you need both the m and the b to be able to write it in y equals mx plus b form. So to find the b value, once you know your m and you have x's and y's, all you have to do is pick one of these points and plug in the m that you just found all into y equals mx plus b. So let me go y equals mx plus b, and let me plug in. What do you guys want to use, the first one or the second one?
First one.
Doesn't really matter. If you use the second one, that'll work also. I'm going to go with the first one. So y is really negative 1. Then I have an equal sign. The m value we found out was 3 using the slope formula times x, and the x value on that coordinate, the first coordinate, is positive 1. And plus b is still there. Let's do the math. 3 times 1, that's just 3. 3 plus b equals negative 1. You don't want 3 plus b. You just want a b all by itself on the right side. So I'm going to subtract 3, subtract 3. So b equals what? Negative 4. So b equals negative 4. And you take that b value of negative 4, and you're going to use that b and that m and plug it all into y equals mx plus b. So my final slope-intercept form equation, now that I know my slope and my intercept, is going to be y equals what? 3x minus 4. You could put plus negative 4, but negative 4 is nicer. So there's your final answer in slope-intercept form, the equation y equals 3x minus 4. So if you want more questions that I didn't cover on this video, you could go back and watch the other video that I posted on Edmodo.